all the things, friend, family, but he is a warrior. He's got a tremendous story. You guys got his bio. It should be inside of your books. Be prepared to take notes. Be prepared to ask questions during this time. Let me tell you a little bit about him. He's a creative, so he's all things arts and creativity. He's a former lyricist and music production and all those things, but he has gone on to do some phenomenal things, and he's going to tell you more about his story. But what I love most about him is his positive attitude, his love for God, his love for his family, how he overcomes, like, the things that this dude has had to beat. It's insane. And so honestly, you'll be asking yourself, like, what's my excuse? Because like I always say, any excuse is still an excuse, no matter how valid it is. So you could literally have a reason not to do something, but when you choose to do the right thing, man, who knows what, the sky's the limit. So can I have my participants come on up? Y'all already know the drill. Why y'all sitting back there? Come on, come to the front. We need you up here. God bless you. These first few rows, thank you. You guys got your notes out? All right, so I'm going to pray, and then we're going to start off. Did we pray today? I feel like we did, but go ahead. Bow your heads, close your eyes. Father God, we love you. We thank you. Thank you for all that you've done. Thank you for this Mindfully Mentorship program. God, we thank you that every single speaker that has been here has been sent, has been anointed for such a time as this. And so we thank you for the speaker that's about to come. We pray for every single young person that's in this room. God, that you have a plan for them, that you have a purpose for them, that they learn something, that they draw nearer to you. But God, that they would feel inspired and encouraged today. Those who are watching online, that they would feel the same. For every family that's represented here, we just speak blessings. And so we thank you, God, for what you've done. God, we're excited for what you're going to do. In Jesus' name, amen. So without further ado, y'all, give a real loud and proud warm welcome to Mr. Cesar Flores. Yeah! A.K.A. Kevin.
Appreciate that. Mic check, turn me up. Mic check, okay. Could everyone hear me in the back as well? Perfect. Okay, cool. First, let me say I'm honored, I'm humbled, and I'm super grateful for all of you to allow me to just be in your presence today and to listen for the short amount of time that we have. I thank each and every one of you personally, Latora, Corey, for having this wonderful environment where it's obvious to me that this is more than just a church. This is more than just a place where people come to not only worship God, but also create community, see what it means to really have camaraderie, to connect, to be able to say, I feel one way one day, but I show up in church and I have people that care about me and that are always going to care about me. And I was here for 5 minutes and I could see that in all of you young people. Trust me when I say, I want to directly speak to all of you young people here today because this isn't what we call normal. A bunch of young people in church. That's powerful. That's really powerful. My story is one of transparency. So I ask that as I am sharing, if at any time something's too much, feel free to walk outside. Feel free to step outside, take a breather. I'm going to be completely transparent with my entire journey because I feel like that's how I'm able to shed as much light as I can on what a real journey looks like without trying to pretend I'm someone I'm not, right? I broke my neck, but that never broke me. Appreciate that. In 2016, my life changed in an instant. January 29th, 2016, I was your normal, everyday 23-year-old man, right? I was working full-time. I was at community college. Because I didn't get the grades to go to a four-year university, right? I graduated from high school with a 1.2 GPA. That's a fact. And I didn't have many options. My mom gave me 4. She said, you can get a full-time job, you can go to community college and get a part-time job, or you can go to the military, or you can get the heck out of my house. And I said, I'm not doing the last one. I don't want to shoot no one, and I am not sure I want to work in a warehouse my entire life without really knowing what my potential is. I wasn't ready. And with that, I chose to go to college, right? Figure something out. Now, along that journey, I figured out a lot about myself and who I was, or so I thought, right? I started developing a love for music, even though I had one before, but this was so much deeper. Um, I was selling weed at the age of 17, and a week and a half before my birthday, I was pulled over. I was driving my mother's Jeep, super nice Jeep. It was on like 20s. Um, but she was getting rid of it, so the tags were expired, right? She didn't tell me, but I was like, Mom, let me just drive it one time. She never let me drive this truck. I get in the car. I, with my friend, go to his house. We're gonna make some music, hang out. He's like, man, I want some Taco Bell. I'm like, I want some Taco Bell too. We drive down the street. I see a cop, and for some reason, I say, this guy's gonna pull me over. He's on the opposite side. This is right down the street, by the way, too, guys, on like Fifth Street. Near that Taco Bell, like in and out. Um, Pulls me over, and instantly finds three little baggies with paraphernalia, and I'm 17, about to be 18, and my life is pretty much told that it's gonna be over. At that moment, he issues me a felony for possession and sales, pretty much telling me this is gonna be on your record forever. So I'm terrified, right? 17, my life's about to start. Um, Luckily, the judge doesn't throw the book at me. He says for 6 months, if you can just do right, if you can just stay clean, go to your probation, I'm gonna take this folder, throw it out. It's never gonna go in the system. I don't want to ruin your life. That was a really big defining moment for me, because that was something that showed me that I had to discipline myself for 6 months straight, right? For 6 months straight, I couldn't get in trouble at all. A stop, a traffic citation, anything would have caused them to make that a bigger case, and I wouldn't be anywhere where I'm at today. Fast forward from that time period, now I'm a young 18, 19-year-old. I'm in community college. I'm working full time at Olive Garden down the street. I'm in the gym throwing up 235 easy. I mean easy when I say easy. I'm throwing up weight. I'm living the dream, as you say, for every average 23-year-old, or so I think. And I'm doing so really recklessly. It's just a part of my, I guess, my own trauma and who I am. But my mom's always told me I've been really hard-headed, and I started to think, hey, I can do all the things that I'm not supposed to do while balancing my work because I was full-time. Like I said, everything I mentioned, you wouldn't have known what I was truly dealing with, right? Losing my father at the age of 2, things I never really dealt with. It all showed up and looked at me right like the scariest face I could have ever pictured in the mirror and said, look at me. And I was afraid to look. So I covered a lot of my pain with prescription pills. I covered a lot of my pain by using drugs and by taking a lot of my own medication and just self-medicating, as they say, right? This was something that I had finally accepted at 23 years old. I told myself, if I can balance my life doing all this while also doing what my, the skeletons in my closet, as we say, right, those demons that we don't want to deal with, why should I worry now? And a month and a half later, God said, hold on, because your life's about to change and you're not going to be the same human. You're not going to be able to walk up a mountain anymore. You're not going to be able to throw up 200 or whatever pounds. You're not going to be able to look at people and say, oh, I'm physically bigger than you. You're not going to be able to command the same way you felt before. However, I'm going to show you something about yourself. I'm going to give you peace during that time. As long as you listen, as long as you follow, as long as you trust, and as long as you stay resilient, which is truly the key above everything else, right? I broke my neck at the C5 vertebrae going 120. I wasn't the one driving. I was in the back seat. Me and my friends had went out because I was living my life. And like I said, I had just accepted this was a new thing I could do. I could manage all this. Nobody had to know my dirty little secret. God made me look at it. And I said, okay, for the first time in my life, I wanted to be numb but I didn't want to be numb. And God said, you took all this time trying to be numb, and now you're numb. Because technically, I'm paralyzed from here all the way down. Doctors told my mom when she showed up to the hospital and me, um, look up the story of Christopher Reeves. That's going to be your son. My mother, a woman of faith, Latoya knows, a bit crazy, but a woman of faith and, someone who's really given me this spirit, looked that doctor directly in the eyes and said, you do your job, my son's going to do his, and my God's going to do the rest. That's all you got to do. And the surgeon said, you're nuts, and walked out of the room directly. Little by little, things started happening. During that time period, I met Latoya and was able to feed off the energy that she was giving me at that moment and other people around me, right? We created this list of positive affirmations. This is why what you tell yourself is truly really important. We created a list of all my little wins, right? I could hold the toothbrush for the first time. I no longer was breathing through a machine. I could eat food for the first time. I didn't have a stomach tube. I could sit up without passing out because my blood pressure didn't drop to the ground, right? Little things that we saw, we just started just taking those into account. And little by little, those positive affirmations turned into me asking every single person, probably extremely annoyingly, to sign my wall. We created this wall of signatures and positive messages and things that I wanted to say to myself, really, when I was there at night and when I was alone and when I opened my eyes and I was just there. I just wanted to look at something positive because hospital walls can get dark. Luckily, through that, little by little, miracles started to happen, right? I remember they told me, hey, one of the respiratory therapists was like, do you want to get off this machine? And what I mean by that, it's life support. It's a breathing machine, right? And I said, hey, I really do, right? I just kind of nodded my head. I couldn't really talk. And he had said to me, I'm going to turn this down, and we're going to do this every single day. And as long as we do this, I want you to just try as hard as you can to just breathe. Just breathe. This machine was breathing for me for all this time. And he was like, I'm going to turn this down just to see if you can handle it and just keep trying, right? So one day I would do it 5 minutes. The next day I would do it an hour. The next day I would do it 3 hours. The next day I'd go back to 5 minutes. One day I told myself, it's funny, I don't know if I call myself Cesar or Kevin because those are both my names. So I was like, hey, Cesar or Kevin, whichever one I called myself at that time. You're never going to be back on this machine again. You're just not. This is the last day. And through God's grace, that was literally the last day I was on life support. Thanks, guys. I want to say moments like that define, parts of my journey. And I can go into way more detail of the nights I spent looking up at the wall, wondering who and why and how this had happened to me, right? I was ashamed. I was embarrassed. I didn't want no one to see me. I was confused and most of all was hurt, right? I was angry. I wanted people to feel all that, but I didn't want other people. I just wanted people to know that's how I was feeling. And no matter how many times I would say things, you still feel alone because no one's in that moment with you. And again, you have the world around you. You could be in a room full of people who love you or strangers, and you still feel like the spotlight is on you and everybody is focused on you. When you become disabled, you realize a lot about the universe and about God and about society and how we think about things. Oftentimes, we often tell people, hey, if you just pray a little bit harder, you're going to get better. So what? I didn't pray hard enough? Now, I want you guys to all think about that because it's really, really powerful. There was something that was told to me when I got to the second hospital because I was in 2. My first hospital, right, when you first get injured and you spend your life as a normal walking human, right, quote unquote, all you want is to walk again. You think, I'm going to walk again, I'm going to walk again, I'm going to walk again. And in that time period, if it doesn't happen, it's kind of like sand kind of falling in an hourglass, right? And you're just waiting for that last little speckle of sand to just drop for you to say, I made it, or damn it, I didn't make it. And for 2 years, what they tell you 2 years, 2 years, 2 years. In 2 years, most of your return is going to come. After that, don't look forward to much. What I can tell you from my experience is after 2 years, I gained more, not function, but freedom because I chose to understand my journey differently. When I was in the hospital, something that happened to me was a random person had walked into my hospital room for some reason. And when I tell you guys I was in the hospital, I was never alone. Always had someone there. But for some reason, like this was like a moment where people just need a break, right? My mom was like, I'm gonna go to the look, I'm gonna go to like the vending machine real fast. I'm gonna go somewhere. I was already in the hospital bed. There's nurses nearby, so people feel safe. They're just kind of doing their thing. I remember I was kind of just laying there looking at this beat up old hospital room. Didn't know this place, Rancho Los Amigos National Rehabilitation Hospital, was gonna change my life. But I was there, and while I was there, this guy kind of limps in. He has a walking stick, and you could tell he's been disabled for a very long time. And there was no, I'm going to pray to get this back, right? I'm at the beginning of my journey. So I still think everything's still capable. I'm going to work through this, right? He comes in, and he's like, so how you feeling? And I say, I'm good. I'm feeling strong. I'm finally got here. They told me I need to get this dang breathing machine off so I could get to this hospital because that was one of the requirements, right? If I couldn't have gotten that out, they wouldn't have gotten me to that hospital, but I luckily did. Once I did, here I am telling this guy, I'm feeling great. I'm going to walk again. I'm going to work as hard as I can. I'm going to make it all happen. Meanwhile, this guy has a physical disability, and he's looking directly at me. And I'm telling him, I'm going to walk again. Don't even worry about me. I'm fine. So I'm not going to be... I'm disabled what? I'm fine. I'm gonna be good. The audacity of me. He looked at me, kind of smiled, and he said, I forgot the exact passage, and I wish I remembered it. I guarantee this is the house of God, so I guarantee someone knows the passage. But he tells me this story about how, I want to say it's Moses, someone asked to heal one of their sons or something. And in the story, it goes that the man asks for healing, and God tells him, no, I'm going to use you as a tool. I'm going to use you so other people can see my grace through you. I'm going to use you. And he said, instead of praying for God to fix you and turn you back into the person you were, why don't you pray that God uses you as his tool and that he allows you the peace to live in whatever condition you are in, and really live a fulfilling, lasting, and the best life possible. And I said, that sounds cool, but I'm going to walk again. And this guy left. I never talked to him again. He could have been a ghost. He might not have been real. But truthfully, I'll never forget that because I looked at him, and in my own insecurity, in my own inability to connect and to be a human, I had told this person who was disabled, hey, I'm going to be better than you because I'm going to make it. Regrets. I don't regret much in my life. I don't regret my accident. I don't regret getting into that car that night. I don't regret overly drinking. I don't regret graduating from high school with a 1.3 GPA because I graduated from college with a bachelor's with a 4.0. I'm in a master's program right now. Thank you. I'm in my last semester of a 2.5-year program that was grueling, that had me doing things I never thought I could ever do. They told me, hey, you're going to have to be at a high school working with youth doing mental health therapy while you're also working at your college getting your fieldwork experience. Hey, you have to write a 50-page paper at the same time while also doing assignments. Do you know you also have to just be a human whenever you can and just hang out? Hey, your mom also wants you to pay that phone bill. And you can't walk. And God said, well, we gonna figure it out, bruh. And one thing I've learned from my journey more than anything is that I truly believe that those moments when I told myself, just trust that whatever is going on right now, it's for a bigger purpose. I get passionate, I get emotional, and I truly feel. I always try to tell me, you don't want your voice to crack, you don't want to, a tear to come out, you don't want your nose to, water or anything or whatever, or snot bubbles. But truthfully, it's that real for me because I have too many people in my life who believe and that love me and support me and that have enabled me to enable others. And because of that, I'm able to reflect on those moments I told you, right? Um, Life's always going to happen. And that's something that we can't run from. Regardless if it's a physical accident like breaking your neck, the point of things is to truly react. And when I say that, it's to truly react. Reactions vary, and everything you do is a reaction to life, right? As we're all connected, the fact that we're all here today, the fact that I'm here to share my story with you, the fact that I hope through this one of you can share something with someone else who can share something with someone else. This is what we're here for. This is what the journey's all about. And when I look at my story of perseverance or resilience, whatever you want to call it, it's truly a testament to those around me, to God first and foremost, and to my ability to trust that I broke my neck, but that never broke me. I could go on for days. I could tell you guys a lot about me, and I could try to make this more heartfelt than what it really is. But um, through my journey, I've learned that sometimes enough is enough. Thank you.
Okay, wait.
Okay, okay.
Okay, so, um, dude, I'm floored. um, like Kevin said, that I met him because I got a call that said, "Hey, will you pray for my son?" And he was in the hospital, and I didn't know him. I didn't know his name, but something in me was like, "Hey, you got to fight." And so I said, "So, ladies," she goes, "He can hear you. He was on the ventilator. He was about to go into surgery."
That part.
Yes. And I said, "If he can hear me," I said, I'm just praying." I was like, "Hey, I don't know you. You don't know me." I was like, "But you can't punk out. You gotta fight." And it like turned into like the craziest like story of like, "Don't be no punk. Like, you got this. You gotta fight. God's got you. It's gonna be all right. You're gonna win. It's gonna be okay."
And you knew what to say too. You knew exactly what I needed in that moment.
It's unreal just to know that. And I was out. I said, "When I go out of town, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna come see you." And he was at Henry Mill. The day I went to see you was actually the anniversary of me being at the same hospital. So it was really interesting to encounter Kevin and just to see, And then we started working out, and like you said, we did the affirmations, what we say to each other, what we say to ourselves, we speak over ourselves. And then we started working out in the hospital. Like the physical therapist was like, "He can't do that." I'm like, "Yes, he can. We're gonna try all these things." And so over time, so now I just want to spend some time just asking you a couple questions, and if you guys have questions,
Yeah.
definitely want to hear from you. But what would you say? Like, how did you spoke about like having positive people around, having like a positive environment, what would you say is like was the most important thing or vital pieces like to overcome adversity or challenges? Like, what was the thing that you went to?
Humility is something I learned in this process more than anything, right? When you become disabled, right? Regardless of how much progress, I'm always gonna need help with something, and that's okay, right? Like someone holds the door open for me. I could yell at you, and be like, "No, no, I got the door. Don't worry." For what? It's okay for me to humble myself and say, I can accept that help because that also does something for you too, whether I like it or not. I can let you feel good for that moment and say, "Hey, you did a good deed." It doesn't have to be like like the charity Olympics, but it's okay for me to humble myself. My mom told me that one time. I remember the one thing I told my mom was, I just hate asking for help because I'm really independent. I just hate asking for anything. And she looked at me and said, "Son, I know, but maybe God put you through this so you could learn some humility, and be okay with asking for help." So this journey requires other people
Yeah.
and being okay with saying, "I need Latora. Latour is telling me I'm here to help you. I'm gonna work out with you. I can call her, right? You know, I need to get my hair cut. I need my hair washed, right? I need something. I need some good work. I need someone to help me open this door, right? Before I could do things that I can do now, drive my car, I need to ride. Those little things. So like understand that we all need help, and sometimes we like to think that we're better than like, okay, if I accept this help, it means that like, oh, I'm not good enough, right? This person's giving me some sort of something. When I tell you everyone that's successful gets help, it's just a key to life. No one does it alone. No one. So during this journey of life for all of you, and as you go through your own trials and tribulations, accepting help and accepting support is going to be a key. And truly being okay, because guess what? It's not about paying that person back. It's about paying it forward. And all you do is you're just creating more and more people who are going to be paying it forward. It really is a chain reaction.
Wow. Talk about like a whole new definition of humility, right? And receiving help. I mean, we were talking about it on Sunday, how the word says that his strength is made perfect in our weakness. And sometimes we don't want to show ourselves weak. So how could God be made strong in the situation? And so talk about like so where you are now is miles and eons from when we first met, right?
Yeah.
So talk about like how many like failure, because in order to get to, you talked about your success and like I mean, it's
Yeah.
look, I ain't no college graduate, and there's people in here that have every excuse or reason not to finish school, right? But you show up to your campus and you roll up there, you're like, you literally are doing all these amazing things, but talk about like the losses, like the failure. How many times did you fall? Like how many times did you like go get an infection, or like what were things that happened with your body along the way that you just had to push through?
I think that's a really good question. People see me and like if you hear this story and I do it and people are like, oh my God, he's so much better, but you like have to also witness where I started. And I think that's why Latour, when we think about it and like look at each other, we just know, like we look at each other and like, dang, it really was that far that you had to come to just be where you're at now. Um, I failed every day at least once. There were moments we were working out and I would just burst out in tears crying and just start crying, crying, crying. And I'm just embarrassed and I'm just mad and angry again, and all these different feelings. Um, and honestly, I can't tell you exactly what got me through each of those moments. I think say it's a mix of things. Again, support system. I'm going to stress that to you guys more than anything. This community, what you guys do here, this is a part of your support system, and you need to use that at every avenue so you're able to truly stay grounded, right? We go on social media. Some of you guys are going to be successful doing something like, I don't know, selling airplanes, whatever, I don't know, something, but along that line, you need places like this to remind you where you started. People always reminded me where I started. So when failure happened, it was, yo, at least you're not on that breathing machine anymore.
Yeah, that's good.
At least you're not, I'll answer you right now, 1 second. At least you're not on this no more, right? At school, when I first got to college, oh my God, learning how to navigate my university, my campus, I didn't realize how amazing that would be for me, because it's kind of like the middle ground between society and safety. I was alone for the first time, just me. No one was there to care about me. Nobody really cared about me, right? But I was in an environment where people are socially aware. So if they see somebody in a wheelchair, sometimes too aware, I'll just be minding my business, eating a granola bar. Somebody comes running out, you need some help? Like, no, I'm literally eating a granola bar. And that happens all the time. People just assume, right? But I think about that, right? There's times where people wouldn't even realize, like being in a wheelchair, right? We deal with certain things. You guys might have seen me earlier adjusting my leg. I have to make sure like my leg bag's okay so I don't pee all over myself. I know, too much information, but it's reality, right? If that would happen to me at school days, right? I remember one time that happened to me. It was 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I had to be there till 10 o'clock at night. And my pants are wet. And I'm just sitting there. So now I'm sitting there with wet pants. And I'm like, am I going to get through the day? Am I going to get through the day? I just have a book or my backpack. People are like, people are probably looking at me like, why is your backpack on your lap? It's never there. I'm just sitting there like trying to just act like I'm normal. And I get in my brother's car at the end of there, and he's like, "Bro, I'm so proud of you, man. You made it through. I know that was hard for you, man." And I didn't think about that, and just him telling me that in that moment truly helped me. So again, like every time I'd experience failure, I was just reminded of the stuff from the past, right? And like moments where I would like look at just into the distance and just be like, man, where am I? How am I? And like I kind of just started to remind myself that during that process, it's okay to fall and just kind of pick yourself up.
I want, man. All right, so I'm gonna get y'all to get some questions. I got two more comments. One, thinking about another time, because it's even just being brave to like get out of the house. So I remember like we were like, you should come to Bible study, and we were having in-home Bible study at the time. And he was like, nah, I'm good. I'm like, no, bro, it's gonna be fine. Like we're gonna be, like all the people that love you are gonna be there. We got you. Like don't trip. And then he like gets there, and then the leg back situation happens
Again.
And he was like, I told you I shouldn't have came. And I was like, it's fine. And like literally he had a whole moment, and it was crazy because it was a room full of people, and I was like, everybody, we're gonna pray in the front of the house. And they were like, why? And I was like, because God's over in the front of the house. And so Kevin's on the couch in the living room going, I didn't bring a change of clothes. I'm like, you can't leave. Bible study's going to be great. What's going to be great? So I told my brother Lucky, I'm like, go get him some shorts out of your room. He's like, it's laundry day. All my clothes are dirty. I was like, give me your pants right now. So he literally took his pants and gave them to Kevin.
And we made it happen.
And then like we all like got it together. He changed clothes. And then everybody came back in, and like nobody knew until like this moment that we're sharing it. But I like, you know how you just, it's the where you come from. It's like, so the fact that you were able to get through that and like, overcome that on your campus is amazing. God is so good. Like y'all don't understand. This is so surreal because there were so many times where we would just sit and it would just seem like it was impossible. It was like, man, God, we just need a win, like just one win, and just to see where you're at now is just, it's amazing. And so bringing it back to like where you are right now. So you're doing some cool stuff, right? And I know we're going to get to the kids' questions, but I want to highlight some pretty amazing things that you're doing. So on social media, he's kind of a big deal, right? So
I'm all right.
He's a big deal.
Right.
So he's got a whole following on social media that he talks about like life and just ableism and how to just navigate this world, especially from a wheelchair. And so I know you have some cool stuff that's brewing. So tell me things that you've been a part of that creatively you've contributed to in the last couple years.
That's a great question. I think this is why I always say too, everything happens for a reason. I look at my opportunities now, and people are like, oh, like sometimes people are like, man, and my girlfriend will tell me all the time. She's like, babe, you do more than like any guy I've ever dated. This is crazy. And I'm like, yeah, thanks. But like, so like something big happened to me recently. PlayStation. I work with PlayStation. We worked on a product for 4 years called the PlayStation Access Controller. It's a fully accessible controller for people with disabilities. You can look it up online right now. It's literally a controller where for 4 years I had to test a product little by little, and like I took this like one of my like biggest jobs ever. I wrote full like 4 pages of like notes for them. I really took the time to invest into this product. And for me, it's like my baby, and like most people don't even realize it, but it's like my testament to like helping the disabled community on that way. Because this is a product now that's available worldwide for people with disabilities. And it's such a cool product because it lets people with disabilities get back into playing video games by programming this controller however they want.
Okay, I'm going to press a pause. We can clap for that.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Thanks.
That's dope.
Thank you. That was cool. That opportunity came so random. Sometimes you don't know where things are going to lead you. I'll just tell you real quick how that opportunity came. I was at a convention for wheelchair like adaptive stuff. I went up to a table that had nothing on it besides these 2 little like they're called extenders for controllers. Some of the boys and some of the girls who play video games in here probably know what I'm talking about. But I was like, can I have these? And the dude was like, oh yeah, cool, grab them. And then he was like, I'm here at PlayStation. In a year, we're going to be doing a product testing we want people with disabilities to be a part of. You want to sign up? I signed up. I was like, cool. Didn't hear nothing for a year. A year later, he hits me up. He's like, hey, I'm here with that product thing. We're going to send you this and that. I'm a part of 5 different studies. And little by little, they would take like the feedback that we were giving them and really implementing it into there. So that's kind of how that happened. I'm also part of this other foundation called Wheelchair Free Wheelchair Initiative. It's a nonprofit. I'm part of the board, whatever the heck that means. It's what I learned today. It means I can put it on my resume, and I was like, whoa, okay, that's what that is. So I was like, thank you. But that's super cool. So that's like my philanthropy, where pretty much this is an organization that provides low cost wheelchairs. They're free for the people that they're donating them, but they're low cost. They cost less than $100 to make in third world countries, places like India, places like Dominican Republic, places like Haiti, South America, different countries in Africa. Constantly creating these wheelchairs for people. If you think accessibility is bad in America, which most people don't even realize because they're not in wheelchairs, but like if I put you in my wheelchair for a day, you'd realize how much stuff isn't made with you in mind. That's a big deal. And in third world countries, it's even worse. So this other thing I'm a part of is super dope because it really allows me to tune into, what it means to like really focus on the community that I'm a part of and like serving it on a major scale that I never would have been able to, right? They give like I said, we give up to, I think, upwards of like 10,000 wheelchairs a year on average. And it's just an amazing process that gives people life in places that don't have it.
Okay. Look, I got a message on my watch, so I was like trying to read it and
No worries.
listen. The last thing, so I know I want to talk one more thing about asking for help, right? Ask not and you'll have not. And I think you shared with me some pretty cool information about even just having the opportunity. You said something to me like about like feeling like it was a privilege to be at your school, and then like kind of reflecting and going like, no, I belong here. And then so there were some things that you asked for that have made a difference on your campus at Cal State Northridge. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so that's super powerful. I forgot about that. That's hilarious. Okay, so when I first got to my campus, like I was able to get around most things, but there were certain things I needed help with. I'm just super lucky. I have a lot of dope mentors, and with y'all young people, when you see someone who's your mentor, you're gonna feel that, and when you feel that, you follow. And that doesn't mean you brown nose, but you follow, you pay attention, you absorb, be sponges. Be sponges to people who have created things, especially in the fields that you want to be in, and they're giving you opportunities to learn, to develop, right? So for me, the person who was my graduate assistant supervisor, he just cared about me. He was like, whatever you need, I want to make sure you have it. I told him, I was like, well, that bathroom door, it weighs about 10,000 pounds. I can't open it. And he said, don't worry. He made a phone call. 2 days later, we have a button put in for that one, and we started an initiative to get them put in across the entire campus. So now, eventually, what the plan is for all the doors on campus to have this button that allows for people with disabilities to just go right in without asking for help. And it's little, but like it's the difference between, making it to the restroom and not for a lot of us. So, yeah, that's another thing.
That's dope. Hey, I love it. I love all that God has done with you. We're going to take some questions real quick. I'm actually have you come up here and no, I'll just walk out there. So I saw hand here, and then you're next.
Did your friends like have your back, the one that you were in a car with? Did they like help you out?
Oh, that's a good question. Okay, so ironically, I don't talk to any of the people who were in the car with me anymore, for different reasons, right? The one who was driving, I told him I forgave him. That same week, I told him I forgave him. I was like, and that was for me, and for me to leave that away from my heart, right? I didn't want to hate him, and I was accepting of him, right? And then this is gonna like where it gets kind of dark. He came to me one day and was like, hey, they're trying to, put this much jail time. But if you just ask the judge for, this and that, I'll stay out for long. I can help your family. And I was like, if I do what? If I ask the judge to give you less jail time so you can be out there, my family doesn't need your help. I need you as a brother, not my family. We don't need financial support. Like, I never once told you that. So it felt like he was kind of thinking about himself. So like that kind of just ruined that relationship. Two of my friends pulled me out the car. And they were like my really good friends before, but I think for some people, what was hard was like I was like a leader of my group, right? I kind of just have this like energy where like I'm just the natural leader. And all of you have that too, so just tune into it. Just tune into that, wherever it's at, whatever your passion is, wherever it's at. For me, people are like, "How do you public speak?" I can come up here and talk to y'all for 40. I'm sure back there they're like, "We got like 10 minutes left. Can he shut up?" But this is what I do. So so when I think about that, for me, this is like the most natural thing, right? And for my friends, I think when they saw me again, it was kind of like, oh, Kevin's not the same. Caesar's not the same anymore, right? Like he's not the same guy anymore. He's not, if we get in fights, he's not gonna protect us no more. We're not all going to his house. And for me, it was like, I just need y'all here while I'm healing. And one after another, oh man, I wanted to come, but work was busy. You drive by my house every day. I didn't say you had to come help me work out. I didn't say you had to come hang out with me for the whole day. You could have showed up for 2 minutes and said, hi, I'm thinking about you. The way people who didn't know me were coming to my aid in my time of need. So what I learned is, honestly, not everyone is in your corner always. And sometimes it takes things like this to really show you the people who matter and the people who are going to stick by you no matter what.
That's good. Great question.
How did you get over not accepting help?
Ooh, that's a good question, right? I think for me it was I reflect a lot, and something else I can encourage a lot of you young people in here: reflect, process, right? I didn't mention my degree. My degree's in counseling. It's an LPCC, so licensed professional clinical counseling. I'll be able to do therapy in my own private practice. I'll also be able to work in a university setting, directing a program, advisement, something along those lines. And for me, processing has always been a big deal for me. Really thinking and not dwelling and not harboring, right? But really thinking about my process. If I don't accept this help, right? Let's say there's let's say that, like right here, right? Just imagine these 2 steps. Imagine these were 30 steps, right? And right there's an elevator. I can tell myself all I want. Man, I hate these stairs. I hate these stairs. There's an elevator. There's an elevator. And all I have to do is accept that elevator. People are willing to give you that. So when you look at life that way, as in this wheelchair, it's a gift. When I first saw it, right, I cried. I told my mom, somebody rolled into my